Well, they say it's not the blowing of the wind, but it's the set of the sail that determines where you will arrive 5, 10, 15 years from now. Now, it's the same wind that blows over us all, the same economic, political, social winds, but there are some people who stand out and really make a difference. And today we have in our midst one such person, a person par excellence. You talk of any awards, he's got it in his bag. The President's National Role Model Award that he received from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the Chief of Army Staff Commendation, Times of India Global Indian Award, Limca Book People of the Year Award, the CNN-IBN Real Heroes Award, Pearls of India Award. I could just go on and on of all the accolades that this person has received. Not just that, he's a world record holder in adventure sports driving. He's an author, a speaker, a doer who inspires, uplifts, and empowers the people around him. And above all, he's a wonderful human being. Our guest today is Mr. Navin Gulia. Sir, it's a privilege to have you on board, and we consider it our utmost privilege to be able to speak to you today.
Thank you so much, and I express my gratitude for considering me worthy of being spared your time and to be listened to.
Thank you. Thank you, Navin. See, we were going through what you have mentioned once. You did say that the only thing that came between you and your career was the passing out parade. It was the last day of the obstacle training competition, 29th of April, 1995. And that's when you met with an life-changing experience. Could you take us back to the day and tell us what your thoughts have been pre and post that?
See, I have come a long way since then, and it's too distant in the past. But I would try to revisit it. The thing is, I was, and I look at it in third person. I was 21 years of age, having already spent about 4 years in National Defense Academy and Military Academy training. And as a youngster, that was to be my profession of choice. That was my dream or my profession, my aim in life, the first one. So there was nothing else that could have possibly stopped me except destiny. And when the training part was all over and just the marching and other, parade, those practices were going on, there was a sporting competition. It was not something mandatory that I was required to do in order to complete my training. But I was the captain of the team, and as a routine as well, you participate in that event. So on that final day of the event, not in the practice runs which we had done thousands of times, n number of times, but on the final day of the competition, I met with this accident. And I got a push from behind. Now, whether it was deliberate or whether it was accidental in the competition, I would not know, and I don't care. Definitely, if I was pushed, it was not the intention of the person to injure me. So, no hard feelings. I don't even remember who the person behind me was. So, the thing is, it happened. And I broke my spine and my body was paralyzed. Had that accident happened on any other day, at any other place, I would not have survived because my neck was broken. So how I was evacuated from there was to be the minuscule chance of survival, how I was evacuated. And luckily that day, an ambulance and a doctor who was well versed was present on the site. Had it happened anywhere else, I would not have had that iota of a chance of surviving. Even that, there was no chance. It was. So rather than to look at why it happened, I was lucky. I was meant to survive that day. Bravery is something we show in our arrogance. Even the bravest person in this world cannot face a bullet which hits at the right place. So do not give too much credit to your bravery. That will be arrogance. It was my good chance and I was meant to survive. That's why I survived. So uh, that's what happened, and things change. And we are taught in the army that if you think your enemy can attack you from a certain number of directions, possible directions, say 4, then he will attack you from the 5th one, the one you are not expecting. The same is true with life. You might be all geared up to face certain selected challenges, but life will give you a different one. So my training, my mental training, the way it's not necessary that everybody who goes through military training will learn it. It is not necessary that everybody passing out of a certain educational institution will learn that. That institution, that organization, that training is providing you an opportunity to learn. Whether you learn it or not is up to you. And most don't. So, and which is also okay. That is how percentages work. Everybody in this world is not going to be a fighter or a winner or a genius. It is you who have to decide whether you will be or not.
Right.
So, I was positive before. It was part of my training, because just going to the defense forces could simply be a profession. But once you go there and still you volunteer to serve in the special forces, which is so-called commandos, which is a much tougher, a much riskier option, and you might carry out very risky operations like 2611 in Mumbai, or like the one which was carried out to take out Osama bin Laden. The special forces which took part in it, the name and faces are not disclosed.
Right.
So you will never get credit for your bravery or whatever you may call it, the risk, the challenge that you took on. So I had opted for that. That is a voluntary thing. Nobody can be forced to do it.
Right.
So I had opted for it. So my mindset was the same. It is only that the enemy was a very different one. The challenge was a very different one. That was the only, and which again I had trained myself to accept it.
I can already see that when you talk of bravery, you are humility personified, I can say. Now, they say every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it a seed of greater benefit. Navin, what are your thoughts on that?
We all, this is divide and rule. When we say good is different for me and different for you, well, good food is good for me and good food is good for you. What is good for my health is good for your health. What thoughts are good for me are good for you as well. Good is same. Good is common to everyone. It is not different that is a divide and rule policy. So we all have a single dream in life. We find different ways to achieve it. And that is that at the end of our lives, we should have a story to tell. We all want that there should be a story that we can tell. We may not get to tell it. It might not be a popular story as many which are. That popularity is not the criterion for success. The point is whether you have a story to tell or not. So we all want that. Now we all want that story, but we do not want any challenges. We do not want any losses along the way. No pain, no gain. The most important lessons of our life were taught to us in 3rd grade. Work is worship.
Right.
No pain, no gain. God helps those who help themselves. So we were taught them in 3rd grade, but we forget them. We tend to go for something higher in our arrogance. So just follow the lessons which were taught to you in 3rd grade and that will be good. So no pain, no gain. How can you have a story without a challenge? How can you have a story without facing any pain in life? You can't have both. So it was, yes, I did not choose to get injured. I did not select my challenge from a menu, which particular one I want to face. It is life that will throw us that opportunity, and life threw me that opportunity.
Right.
One youngster said to me, because he reached a destination a hill station at the right time. The weather was good. He got a good hotel room with a good view, and it started snowing. So he said, "Sir, I think I'm at the right place at the right time for the first time in my life." So I said, "You are always at the right place at the right time. It is only that you don't realize it.
Yes. Yes.
You keep looking for something else. So the challenge will come your way." So that challenge is the board exam. That is going to that is where you will be, you will be assessed what your markings or what your ratings are.
Right.
Why to run away from it? You should be looking for it.
Right, wonderful. You did talk about how people go to institutions, but it's not the institutions or the universities that change you. It's what you take out of the university. And finally, the law of averages that works out. Would it be right for us to then think in terms of choices and chances? Everyone has choices and chances, but it's the choices and chances that really make us or break us. Some are more privileged than the others. What would be your take for those who are not as privileged, who do not have chances like the others? How could one make his own or her own chances?
We all have the opportunities and we all have the challenges. We are not able to rightly, correctly identify them. Like I say, if I was born rich, if my father was um, irresponsible enough to give me a lot of cash, if he was that, then that would be my biggest challenge. Having the resource and support at my end, I would not really be putting my efforts into anything. So having resources and having support, how many students from rich families, rich backgrounds, luxurious backgrounds, um, do you see ending up in the army or in ending up in sports? How many? One not you may be able to point out, but that is because that person was able to overcome that challenge of having comforts with him. If we had comforts, maybe we would not go out. I cannot claim it as of now because I did not have a choice, or I did not give myself a choice. So if I had money and then also support and comforts and everything, and then I would have performed, then I could claim. Right now, I cannot say. So I had to build my own life, my own career. That was the only choice I had. And then there are certain choices which I don't give myself. I don't give those choices to myself. That is called ethics. So you cannot blame your circumstances for your failure. You are responsible for it. Learn to take responsibility or ownership for it. I tell students, my students who come to me and listen to me, I say, if you succeed, I will take all the credit. If you fail, I will say you were useless. That is what happens. Deal with it. That is life. Nobody's nobody's keen to listen to your excuses.
Right.
So
Right. And I
yeah.
think, yeah, I think that's what they call a win-win situation, right?
Mhm.
Either side, one wins. Okay. Now, you did talk about a hypothetical situation about what if my father was rich. Could you tell us a little about how it was for you growing up? Were you always this kind of a Navin Gulia, a standout student, a very positive person, mind of steel? How has the transition been, if at all there was one?
See, I was considered average, at times dumb, at times being made fun of. But I think that was my strong point because that is what made me rebel. And that is natural. That is not a bad thing. I'm sitting in the middle of nature. If we look around, you're not able to see the background here. I'm sitting in the middle of nature away from the closest village as well. So the doob grass does not allow the Congress grass to grow. The kikar does not allow doob grass to grow. The neem does not allow the kikar to grow. That competition is always there. So people will pull you down. They will make you lose your confidence. It is not bad. That is nature. That is what makes you. Either you can actually get pulled down. The law of nature is not available for your arguments or for your agreements. It will apply. So if my friends, my classmates, or anybody elder to me, they were trying to pull me down, nothing wrong. They were trying to discourage me. That is what worked for me. There might be some who might be getting a lot of praise and a lot of attention and encouragement because of maybe their so-called good looks or something, or maybe because their father was in an important position. But that was their challenge. They were not able to overcome it. They fell for it. So that is also a challenge. This is also a challenge. I think mine was an easier challenge. To be criticized and to come out of it is, or to be ridiculed or to be made fun of or to be mocked at. I feel it is still an easier challenge to come out of. So, and that worked for me. Like you talked about sails and winds and boats. The
Yes.
thing is, which direction the wind is coming from, it does not matter. You adjust your sail accordingly to move forward.
Right.
Sometimes favorable winds will be there, sometimes they'll not be. If you need to gain height, the wind in your face has to be stronger. If you have to gain height, whether it's a plane or an eagle or anyone.
Yeah.
So yes, that is how it works. So it worked for me, and I think because I was an average student, things fell into place at the right time. Sometimes more intelligent people, their intelligence works against them, or those who consider themselves more intelligent, their intelligence works against them. That's why they don't look at simple solutions. They're not satisfied by simple solutions. They want complicated philosophical sounding language, and somebody who is worthy of being followed, who speaks good English, wears a certain kind of dress, and sits on a stage and talks to them. That will make them feel that they are doing something worth. If an ordinary person walking the street tells them something, they'll not give it due importance because they are intelligent. They want something better. That kind of a myth one should not live in.
Correct. Correct. So don't let your qualifications, don't let your intelligence dictate or make you a prisoner of your own self. Brilliant thoughts, Naveen. Now, you did talk about how you were an average student and how today people look up to you and people come to you. Now, is there something called attitude? I once read that there is a magic word called, the magic word is attitude. How important is attitude for a person to transition from where he was to where he could be, from being timid to being really, really talented?
See, a bad car, a worn out car, a junk car may be able to gain a lot of speed when it is downhill. But if you want actual reliable performance, you will have to go for a car which has a very reliable and powerful engine, which has very well assembled this thing machinery behind it. Then you can depend on it. Attitude is that. Whereas a person who does not have the right attitude may perform in small intervals where he gets favorable conditions. He may also be able to gain speed.
Right.
But if you want that consistency, then that entire machinery has to be good and reliable. So for that you need the best car, and attitude is exactly the same thing. And attitude is not something uh, which I can explain to someone as a plus b whole square, that I tell you and you understand. No, it has to be practiced, inculcated, implemented. Uh, it needs efforts and time. What somebody had forwarded me an audio message, a WhatsApp message, saying that it was regarding, the power of the spoken word, that we should be careful about what we speak because it goes out into the universe and it affects the universe. Sorry, you are not that important. Universe cannot care less about your words.
Yeah.
You can speak all you want. The word that you speak goes inside you and destroys you from inside.
Right.
If you speak words which are negative, like easier said than done, or what you're saying is correct but very difficult to do. Since when has difficulty become the criteria for whether a work, a task requires to be done or not? If your child needs surgery, it's a difficult decision, but you will have to do it.
Right.
So degree of difficulty is never the criteria for deciding whether this particular task is to be done or not. So speaking negative words like easier said than done, it means you're not going to do it. what you're saying is right, but very difficult, means you're not going to do it. So, like using the word struggle instead of fight, the meaning of struggle is against heavier odds, which means you're accepting the odds to be heavier
Mm.
than what you can face. You fight, you don't struggle. Struggle has a helplessness about it.
Right.
So many words and phrases which we use in our daily lives, they may, like a lot of people listen to me, although I do not consider my achievements as exemplary, uh, because I know they aren't. I don't want to tell the world that my achievements are exemplary, because I want every child to believe he can do it. If I tell them it is exemplary, the child will discard it. That I'm not exemplary. How will I do it? I'm average student. I'll not be. It works to believe that it is not exemplary. It can be done. When I was a student, if any story of any person, um, so-called great leaders or people, great achievers in their lives, their story was told to me, I always used to think in my mind that I can also do it.
Mhm.
Whereas when people listen to my story, they say, oh, I would never have been able to do it. Well, I'm not impressed by your statement. Why would you not have been able to do it? You may not have to face the same things as me, but you will have to face some things. And if you keep telling yourself that there are things that you would not have been able to do,
Mm.
then you will not do them.
Correct.
First, you have to begin by believing. People tell me, they say to me that you talk very bravely and with that confidence. How does that happen? I say, maybe you are lazy, maybe you cannot show bravery, maybe you cannot perform, but at least speak, at least start speaking. People say, don't speak, do. I say, speak.
Mm.
If you speak, you will do. You'll say 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, 100 times. Somewhere that pressure will start building up and you'll do. Speaking is not requiring any efforts. At least speak. Doing, we'll see later.
Right.
So speaking matters. That attitude comes from how you speak. Even if you are listening to me right now, there is a certain enthusiasm, a certain energy behind what I'm saying.
Right.
Because I speak. So say good things, say positive things, speak positive things. Not just out loud enough, in your mind.
Right.
That is how you develop that attitude. And attitude is is the key thing. It is that machinery.
Mm. I mean, you put something, you just turned the phrase upside down. Growing up, have heard the phrase, action speaks louder than words. Now you're saying words are much important. And I completely agree with you. While we may say environment is but a looking glass, but many a times we've been programmed growing up listening to words like, hey, don't bite more than you can chew. It's better to be safe than sorry. And you brought out a very pertinent point is that, the words could destroy you not from the outside, but from the within. So think positive, speak positive, and while you start speaking positive, the energies more or less comes out of you. The other important point I see you make here is that attitude is something that you can't explain it may take more than many days to explain that. I heard somebody once say that attitude is nothing but a composite of your thoughts, your feelings, and actions. And it's all put together that you call attitude. You just can't look at a person and say, hey, he's got a bad attitude or she's got a bad attitude. It's much, 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 much deeper than what we really see on the surface.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And see, I have come across, because now I have 50 years of experience, varied experience in very challenging circumstances. I have seen in even in army itself, starting from there, people who had good physique, although the term six-pack abs was not common at that time, but we had six-pack abs. And we did not think it was a big deal. And so you come across a guy who has a good physique, good muscular physique, but under trying circumstances, that person is the first one to give up
Yeah.
when faced with the challenge. And you would see an ordinary guy, person, normal looking guy, and there would be people. And I have faced that circumstance multiple occasions, that a group of people have come to attack or are aggressive, they have weapons. And that person will say, Abhe dekh lenge, kya hai? We'll face it. That person who is not even physically strong enough, but he has that confidence,
Right.
So that speaking is, it is what that muscular person is saying in his mind and what this person is saying. He's telling himself that he can do it, and that person is saying that no, it's better to run. So uh, I always say that our mind is our temple, a church or a mosque or whatever you call it, the religious place, our mind. And what words, what thoughts, what people are allowed to get inside it, you should be very careful
Yeah.
whom you allow to. Sometimes if I am just not able to do it, I know, but I'm not able to do it. I'm not able to understand.
Mm.
If you had that sacred place inside your house, would there ever be a doubt who or what can go inside? No.
No.
So I can't understand how you can allow something in your mind.
Right.
I'm not able to understand it. You can't. And if you allow, then it is you who's to blame. Which thought, which person are you? I will not. My mind is a sacred place. I will not allow any person below a certain standard of conversation and thought process inside my mind. I would
Mm.
not allow that person inside my mind. So that is how it works.
Brilliant. I mean, it was said that man is mind, and evermore he takes the secret tools of thought and shapes what he wills. That is what's going to bring him 1,000 joys or 1,000 ills. And you're resonating everything that is said about that. Be it your, keep your mind very sacred. It's a temple, it's a church, whatever you want to call it. But then be very careful. Great thoughts, Naveen. I wanted to take you to one of the adventures that you did, something that I don't think anybody else has done. But you've conceived this thought of Marsamikla, gone to a place which is higher than the base camp of Mount Everest. How has this thought actually been conceived, and how did you go on to execute it?
Again, people say that life is complicated. And I say, and they don't know what they want to do with their lives. Even when they have retired, they've had a whole profession behind them. Still, they say they don't know what to do with their lives. And I never had a doubt right from school. Life is very simple. First, learn education. Learn. Don't start giving gyan at 18. That is not the right time to give it. You have not experienced unless you go through that experience. So that is the phase when you should be learning. So one phase would be learning. I was clear about it. What you learn, which degree you do, does not matter. With what sincerity you do it, that matters. And so learning is the first phase. Second phase is you do a 9 to 5 job. Usually, there are a lot of speakers around the world who speak very derogatory in very derogatory terms about 9 to 5 jobs. I did not want to do a as if 9 to 5 job is a bad thing.
Mm.
It is people who do a 9 to 5 job who produce the food that is on your plate, who make the dresses that you're wearing, who are preparing those apps that you're using in your mobile and your devices. It is being prepared by 9 to 5 people. So please be respectful towards them. And unless you work in that job category for a certain period of time, you will not be able to understand the world. You might become an intellectual, an author, something later on in life. But unless you have yourself gone through that 9 to 5 phase, you will not understand the world. And the world will not be able to understand what you speak. So you have to go through that process. It does not matter whether you're in the army. It does not matter what job you are doing. It matters is with what sincerity you are doing it. There could be, rather than being a bad soldier, I would prefer to be a better sweeper, a better janitor. I would prefer to be that than being a bad soldier. Whatever job is assigned to you, you should be the best at that job.
Mhm.
How much skill it requires or whatever, but you should be and see, your skills might fail you. Your skills might fail you. Your physical abilities might fail you. But how can there be any excuse for not having the right sincerity? That is completely in your hand.
Right.
Even a father who is not educated, not very aware, can give 100% sincerity to being a father.
Right.
That is something nobody can have an excuse for.
Right.
So whichever job you do, you give your 100% sincerity to it, so that you learn. The lessons are same. And then the next phase comes when you actually start giving back. And this world is like a football ground. Suppose I'm just associating it with football. It could be any other sport. It's a football, and you are a player in that match. We all human race. We are a football team, and if we have not contributed anything, we have not scored a goal, we have not defended, we have not made a good pass, or made a good game out of it, put efforts, right efforts behind it. We have not saved a goal. We have not done anything. No contribution in the match. How can we be happy at the end of it? We will not be.
Right.
So we have to give. Unless we give, we are social beings. So emotionally, we will never be complete unless we give. And giving does not mean giving money. Giving means give understanding, give appreciation, encourage. That does not cost anything.
Right.
People do are miser about giving that as well.
Mm.
So at least start with that. I always say give. Sometimes people say give till it hurts. That is why nobody gives. Because nobody wants to get hurt. I say give only that much that does not
Hurt you.
change your level of comfort.
Right.
It is not a compromise on your level of comfort or your life. Give that much, but that much definitely give.
Yes.
Because for that you cannot have an excuse
Mm.
for that much. So the last part is where you start giving, and in giving it comes with resources, and then maybe by a certain age you have gained sufficient experiences to be able to give advice to people,
Right.
because you know the bigger picture. So
Mhm.
this is the sequence of life. What is complicated about it? There's nothing complicated about it.
Right. Right. So you took it in your stride to make that conscious decision to go to Marsami client. Things just happened, or there would have been a lot of handicaps or a lot of hurdles that which I wouldn't like to call problems. Maybe just we call it challenges. I think it was a 55 hour or something continuous, was
Mhm.
it? Or
And it is. Uh, I make objective analysis of a lot of things. On certain things, I choose to believe in something that works for me,
right.
even if I do not have proof for it.
Mhm.
So what works for me, I'll believe in it. What has worked for me, what has served me right. A rule of sports: you do not change your winning combination. So if it
Right.
is working for me, I don't need to change it. So in that, I my assessment is that as far as physical efforts go or mental efforts go, I'm less capable than others. I'm giving a frank analysis, but I'm able to do more because I do not distract my mind with the distractions that they do. So I am able to save more energy, more time for the right things. We waste, as humans, we waste a lot of time with unnecessary thoughts and unnecessary people and unnecessary activities. Attending someone else's marriage party. What is your role there? What is what is your role there? So unnecessary things we engage in, and because of that, so this record or whatever, it might seem impossible. The details of it is available. Even the YouTube video is available on the internet. That's why that part. Uh, Anybody who has an interest can go and have a look at it. The thing is, it was the age. I had come out of my student life. I had done a couple of years of job. I wanted to prove myself that I can do something which is considered impossible.
Mhm.
It was more related to my ability and disability. Ability and disability are not bad terms. The thing is, like they say, Jesus healed the crippled. So crippled is not a bad word. We turned it around to feel like a bad word.
Right.
You get crippled, your car is not working. You'll say, I'm feeling crippled, my car is not working. My reading glasses broke, so I'm feeling nothing bad about it. you
Yeah.
know, we all feel. If I, first time when I went to Chennai, I did not know a word of Tamil. So I was crippled. I could not communicate. But then next time when I went there, I had already memorized necessary phrases and all.
Mhm.
That time I was not. So we all can be crippled in different conditions. So
Correct.
it was more about proving the ability. That ability is in the mind. If you think you are capable of doing it, you can do it. Dr. APJ Kalam was a scientist.
Yes.
He had no experience of politics or things. He had no experience of that. No, nothing in that field. But he had already collected the material because he was good at his job. He wanted to retire and open a school in his village. He was not prepared to be the president. But when the media went to him and asked that, there's talk that you might be the next president. Do you think you can do it? You have no experience. He said, yeah, I think it is very doable. So it is your belief that you can do it
Right.
that makes you capable of doing it. So, and that belief comes from, again, speaking those things to yourself that you can do it. That is how so I wanted to prove that something which people might consider impossible is very achievable, provided you will have to stop wasting your energy and time into other things, and invest them in the right direction. Patience, the energy at the right time. It requires all that amount of planning. It is like all these mobile app games. One I have heard of PUBG, other because there was a lot of talk about it. I don't play. It, this life is much more interesting. Planning something and going ahead with implementing it. No mobile game or no entertainment can be more entertaining than when you are actually involved and you're getting actual results which you can feel and touch and see.
Right.
It cannot match the same. So it was, and then I moved on. I might have faced more uh, challenges which were much tougher than that one as well, which will not go down in record books or be recognized as such.
Mhm.
But that was a phase, and you move on. Like somebody from Finland called me, and he said that the mountain pass that you're claiming to be the highest is maybe not the highest, and his research said that some other mountain pass was highest. I said it no longer matters to me.
Right.
It no longer matters to me. You can climb whichever one you want. वो मेरा हो गया, it's over. I moved ahead. Now there are other things to do. So that's how I put it behind. And like I said, challenges I'll keep taking on. They need not go into uh, the record books, and they don't need to be recognized either. Those challenges are part of my life. I'll keep taking them and moving on. So that was one stage of it.
Oh, great. Again, fight your own battles. Choose what you want to fight for. It's not worthy of going everywhere and reaching nowhere. Very, very, very pertinent points that you're making here. In all this, Navin, what is your take on motivation? Now, we say that motivation person has to be motivated. Are we over glorifying this word? And it was one person who said, motivation does not last, and neither does bathing. So we need to have it every day. How would you look at that?
See, I'm not very well versed in any language, but definitely I have tried to understand languages better. Uh, Quite a number of languages I've worked on. Uh, but the basic mistake is people use certain words without even looking up their meaning, their actual meaning in the dictionary. Well, that word was coined in the dictionary. So don't say, for me, love means this. First, go to dictionary and see what love actually means. So first go to dictionary and see what politics means. You're talking about politics. You don't even know what is the exact meaning of politics. You don't know what is the meaning of motivation, but you're using the word motivation regularly because you keep hearing it. If
Right.
you look up in the dictionary, motivation is the purpose behind doing something. I am not going to provide you that. You have to find it yourself. So, what was your motivation behind doing it? Means what was your purpose behind doing it?
Right.
So, look up the actual meaning of the word. You can't use it like people say, I want to join politics and serve the people. I say that's an oxymoron. That's
Mm.
contradictory. Okay. Politics is the art of coming to power and staying in power. It is not the art of social service.
Right.
Politics itself is the art of coming to power and staying in power. So, how can you cut vegetables with a sword? You'll not
Yeah.
be able to do a good job. It'll be risky. So motivation, what people usually refer to as motivation, is a pep talk given to a sports team just before the match. Yes, come on, you have to do it for your college history, and this thing and that thing, and how many teachers and professors have helped you, and how many people are looking up to you, and you should do it. This is a pep talk.
Right.
So there's an entertainment factor in that. There's an excitement factor in that. There are slogans thrown around. It lasts for about half an hour, the effect, and then in the interval you give another pep talk. So that is not something on which you can rely on, and you should not depend on such a thing.
Hmm.
Who gave a motivational talk to Gandhi? Who gave a motivational talk to Bhagat Singh? Who gave a motivational talk to Dr. APJ Kalam? Whom did Sachin Tendulkar listen to? You can't rely on these things. You should be completely self-reliant as far as motivating yourself to do something. You
Right.
should be completely self-reliant on that. So how am I motivated? The thing is, I listen to good people. I talk to good people. I talk about good things. I read about good things. Everything I do, I've surrounded myself with a mountain of positivity. Now, if one odd negative person comes around, he will not affect me.
Hmm.
I might just smile. It is like, see, some famous religious guru or dharma guru and different gurus, if they are looking peaceful and happy, I'm not impressed. They have all people around them supporting them and loving them and giving them their affection. They have no irritating people around them. We have. Okay. We have to daily deal with such people. So
Right.
we so for them it is easy to say that you should not get affected.
Hmm.
It is for them it is very easy to say that. But a more practical tip is please reduce the number of such people. If
Hmm.
you have many such people or one people with a great ability of irritating, then please distance yourself physically.
Right.
We are not God, we are humans. At the end of it, somewhere we'll get affected. So do not believe in that word of that Dharma Guru or that person. It is easy for that person to smile and talk. It is not for a common man who has to face people. So to reduce the number of negative people from your life and try to be at a positive place, where it gives you better vibes. If you are yourself irritated, how are you going to help anyone else?
Yeah.
So your first duty is charity begins at home means first be charitable towards yourself. Get yourself as a place where you become a better person, where you have lesser disturbances, so that then you can go out and help someone.
Hmm.
So if I'm not myself at peace, like I say, reserve your love for the person who loves you.
Hmm.
So somebody said this is selfishness. I said, does it ever happen that you go to a shop and without paying you get chips?
Hmm.
It doesn't.
Right.
If someone wants my love, that person would have to show me some, if not too much.
Hmm.
Okay. If you go give it to a thankless person, it's not going to help that person, and it's going to make you frustrated and irritated. And when you are frustrated and irritated, how will you help people if you're yourself not happy? So first make yourself happy, then you might be able to and take on maybe one negative person at a time or one negative situation at a time. Don't surround yourself with negativity.
Hmm.
Then you're again same thing, you're not God. So
Hmm.
you cannot, humans will get affected.
Right.
There's no one who will not. So your first job is to be kind to yourself.
Hmm.
Be kind to yourself. Take on only that much and make yourself capable for it first. You should be a happy person to be able to give away happiness to others.
Right.
Mm.
Now I know why they tell us to first fasten our own seat belts before you can help people around you. Brilliant thought.
Exactly.
Yeah. So take care of yourself. You are the most precious person to yourself. And once you take care of yourself, everything else will fall in place. Uh, Naveen, you did talk about sports and you made a lot of analogies. You talk about, a football field, scoring goals. You're associated a lot with the Indian teams, right? Various sports. Could you tell us something about that, please?
See, sports is exactly like life. In when we were hunter gatherers, uh, hunting was a sport,
Mm.
and it had a real result at the end of it that you will get food. If you're not able to, you'll sleep hungry. That was the motivation, not a World Cup, but that motivation was higher. Now, when that motivation went out of our lives and we were not required to be hunter gatherers anymore,
Mm.
then we needed something. So that's how sports was invented, to provide that same excitement and the same challenge. So the same rules apply to life which apply to sports. Like I said, you don't change your winning combination. When something is working for you, you don't need to go around and justify people that why you take a round of the market in the evening. Well, you feel good. As long as you're feeling good at the end of it, why give it up? You're not harming anybody else.
Correct.
Okay, you're not harming your own health by doing it. If you're feeling good about it, go ahead, do it. Whatever makes you feel good. You don't need to justify to anyone. So never change your winning combinations. If something is not working, change it.
Mhm.
Don't stay with it. If it has already proved to you that 4 times you uh, have tried it out, a certain number of times you have tried it out, and it's not working, but you are still stuck at it, nay, it will work. Don't do that. Don't be stupid. Scientifically observe the results, the number, the percentage of results. If it's
Right.
not working out, change it.
Mhm.
That means there's something wrong if it's not working out.
Okay.
So, your yeah, sports teams. The thing is, uh, like I say, fear of failure is the main reason of failure. So when I was talking to the Indian team, they were asking me whether every time the same thing is repeating itself, that they score 1 or 2 goals in the first half and in the second half they lose. I say it is because once you have scored 1 or 2 goals, you have 1 or 2 goals in your pocket, and then uh, you're afraid to lose them. So you start playing defensive.
Mhm.
That if we play defensive, we'll win. We are already having the lead. Whereas the other team is losing. They say we will as it is lose. If not by 2 goals, by 4 goals. At least now attack. So they lose their fear and you get the fear. That's why you fail. And there are, fear and desire are the two motivating forces of this world.
Mhm.
They are the real motivations. All the people who are getting up in the morning, dropping off their children to school, braving the traffic chaos, and listening to the boss giving them a piece of their mind, dealing with the politics of colleagues, and then coming back in the evening, they are not doing it for anything else except fear. They want the salary, the fear that they will not get. So, which is making them work. So, it is fear which drives us, it is desire which drives us. So very few people like Dr. APJ, people who achieve something higher than average, they do because they do it for desire, not for fear. That is why they are able to achieve it. And there is an element of fear in that also. I'm also afraid. I'm afraid that I'll not be able to live my life the way I have wanted to. So whatever that challenges my life, that tries to prevent me from living it that way, uh, uh, I do not allow it to exist anymore in my life. Anything that tries to prevent me. Because my work is important. My work is putting bread and butter on my plate, my children's plate. It is making so many people feel good about having listened to my story or watched or heard it or contributed towards it. It, it is not just me. So I cannot allow anything that uh, tries to disrupt it. It's my responsibility to protect it. So that is why I do not. So fear and desire the reasons. Now I said fear is the main reason for failure. I was asked in one of the questions. So at one end I'm saying fear is the driving force. At the other end I'm saying of failure is the main reason for failure. What is the difference? It is the context.
Mhm.
If fear is making you prepare,
More.
the less, the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. If
Mhm.
fear is making you prepare, it's good. But if it comes at the time of performance, it's bad.
Mhm.
Once you go onto the stage and hold a mic, and then the fear creeps in, then you're gone. If the fear made you prepare very well the day before, then it's good. So that's why I say it is not just a plus b whole square. You have to see the context, the right context in which it is to be used, and that needs efforts.
Right, right. So if you are faced with, most of us fear failure, they say we fear making mistakes, we fear losing, but without fear, the mistakes will not, there won't be any right, there won't be any success, and
Mm.
there cannot be any better things of ourselves. So let fear be that motivation force that gets the best out of us. But in all this, Naveen, how important do you think is something called self-image?
See, I have seen it and beyond. We have faced it in our lives. Now, what is pretty and what is beautiful is fed into our minds. When two kids are playing, the one with the fairer skin is admired more by people walking around. The people with the kid with the cute, chubby cheeks is more given more affection, and the other one feels okay. This is beauty. Otherwise, animals don't think something is beautiful or not.
Hmm.
Okay, a lion will not see which lioness is more beautiful. Okay, because they have not been programmed to believe in certain things being more beautiful. So we have, so, and it is unfortunate, but we have been made to believe that certain things are more beautiful than others. So since that is a reality, like one girl had asked me that, sir, is being beautiful important? I said, see, if I said, does being beautiful matter? So I said, if I said no, I will be lying. In this world, it does. Unfortunately, so, but it does. Okay. But it is a challenge to be beautiful is a more challenge than not being one. Not being one, you don't carry the burden. So if you, if by the conventional terms which the society has defined into us, uh, Dr. APJ Kalam did not feature in that. Gandhi did not feature in that. Okay, Mother Teresa did not feature in that. We can just go on. Shivaji did not feature in that. So we can just go on. That list will just go on. That they were never, in the conventional terms which we have been programmed to believe, they were not. And if you see the initial movies of Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, like Saath Hindustani, he
Hmm.
was the laughing stock amongst the seven. He was very thin and slim, and people used to make fun of him how weak he is. And the other movies, so he was made fun of being that slim, very slim, ultra slim, and weak boy kind of thing.
Hmm.
And see the strong image that he ended up projecting. So it is because these people had a very high self-image. The world was not able to uh, uh, lose confidence in their self-image, and in this, it has required a whole universe and the infinity of space and time for you to come into existence. It has required that much. So just being you, you are unique. You don't need to be different. You were born unique. Why would you want to be different? You are unique. Different is a lower category than unique.
Right.
So when you were, God blessed you with being unique, you are wanting to be different. So you're wanting to come down, for long. There's only one way to come down. If you want to come down,
Navin, I lost you, I think. Navin?
believing that or not, uh, it is just like if I tell a girl, you are very pretty, she'll say, okay, how many more girls do you say that to? How does it matter?
Yeah.
The What matters is I'm appreciating you. You say thanks. Be
Yes.
grateful towards it and move on. Why are you bothered about whether I'm saying it to other people or not? Okay, if it is making people feel good, I'll say it and I'll continue saying it.
Right.
If it makes them have better self-image and better feel about themselves, I'll keep saying it. So I'm believing that. You also believe that there is no conflict of interest in that.
Yeah.
So everybody should believe that they are that unique, and that is the kind of significance. People may like them, not like them. It's up to them. If I'll just maybe a concluding example, it just came to me a day or two back, that this small girl had drawn some painting on the road outside in the parking lot with the chalk or something. And the neighbor lady came and started washing it with water. So the little girl started crying.
Hmm.
And the mother came out and fought with that lady that, how insensitive you are, and this, that, the small child had drawn and you washed it with a hose and all that. So if I was that mother, I would have said to my child, the child, see, that lady might be disturbed. She might be unhappy with her life. There might be issues in her life. That's why she is crying. You should be understanding towards her rather than, taking it. Let her do it. Okay, if it is making her feel better, let her do it. That would be a better advice than going and
Right.
fighting with that
Yeah.
with that person. So if somebody is being negative, if somebody is saying bad about you behind your back, have your sympathy for that person
Hmm.
and genuine, not as arrogance. You can say the same thing. I have sympathy for you as an arrogance.
Correct.
Actually, there might be things the person might be feeling like a failure, and that can happen. That can
Yes.
happen. It happens to us also, all the time.
Right.
So that can happen. So be understanding towards that person. that he might be disturbed over certain things and certain circumstances, which has made him to shout at you or say bad things to you. Have understanding towards that person. That was a better lesson to give to. So people will criticize you. People will do whatever. You continue to sustain. It is not because you are bad. It is not because you are bad or average or below average or whatever. It is because they want to feel good.
Right.
So let them feel good. Please be generous about it. Let them feel good about it. But for yourself, your image should not be affected by that.
Brilliant. It was Wayne Dyer who once said, no one has ever died of a snake bite. He said, it's not the snake bite that kills you, but it's the venom that the snake leaves behind that causes harm. Similarly, what you're trying to say is people may come and bite you the wrong way, say things about you, but try to keep yourself clean by letting go, by forgiving, by giving the other person the benefit of doubt. Very, very, very pertinent points, I think, for us to take away from you. We'll be winding up very soon, Navin, but just one or two last questions. You run an organization which is called Apni Dunya, Apni Ashiana, an organization where you are all out to help the underprivileged children. Could you tell us a little about that and how could people reach out to you?
See, I'm the easiest to reach out to because, again, as opposed to the conditions girls have to face, we guys and men, we can leave our number anywhere, no one calls us. So my number and contact number and details, you can just type my name into Google and you'll get it. Right. And still nobody calls up. So only somebody with a genuine reason will really call up. So that is an advantage of being a guy in this man-dominated world, that you can leave your contacts outside. Nobody unnecessary will contact you. So unfortunately, so my website is karmayogi.com and all the details are available on that. If you just type my name, Navin Gulia, into Google, it will still provide you the details. And as for the work, see, I am, like I say, you use the word humility. I do not use the word humility. I say ordinary. I am ordinary. I know I am ordinary. And these things don't make me exemplary or greater than other people. It does not. And you are being emotionally generous. That's why you are calling me. So I will not fall for it. Okay. It will not make me change my belief that I am ordinary. And that is what everybody needs to believe, that you are, because you are being considered ordinary, because you are ordinary, does not mean you cannot do a few good things. Do a few good things, not something extraordinary. Just a few good things. That is about it.
Oh. Navin, it was a pleasure to have you today. So many takeaways that you talked about. You talked about without pain, there is no gain. Be your own self. Each of you are unique in your own ways. I read somewhere you talking about, you're a 500 rupee note. You've got to spend it. If you don't, it's going to remain in your pocket and it's just going to be meaningless. There are tidbits of wisdom in everything that you said. And you wouldn't want to be called humble, but rather you would say, you're just ordinary. But let me put it in this way. You're an ordinary person doing extraordinary things and for the overall benefit of the people around you. I have known you for some time now, and I've seen it, what's being done. You are touching lives, inspiring, empowering, and uplifting people. May you have all the power that you require. May there be much more that you can do. And I hope that you will achieve everything that you set out to achieve. It was my privilege to be having spoken to you for this last 1 hour. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it, Navin.
Thank you so much. And I'm equally grateful, if not more.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.